Hi, that's me, Get Real. I am so tired, and I had my hair up a couple hours ago, and it's down. I gotta go to work in 2 hours. This title is called Broke Naturopath, and oh shoot, I just hurt myself. And I just typed it in to YouTube, and I didn't see any come up. And it's really embarrassing because I cried and went through my journey, naturopathic medical school, and I got in a car accident while doing additional 2 years of naturopathic midwifery, which put me at 7 years of medical school. And after that, during and after that, I did about a year and a half geriatrics volunteering in the hospital. I actually ended that pretty much this past, 6 weeks. I was in the process of ending that. It was 6 month commitment, but I stayed probably 3 times longer, or 3 times that time, 18 months, almost 2 years. I wanted to share with you because I had to close my video, and a couple people recently had made some comments on my other channel. I was talking about the toxins in Southeast Portland with the glass companies and the moss on the trees. And I was gonna I have a lab in my clinic, like I run it. It's like a one woman show, it's like a one man show. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much I can do in office. It's a huge degree for me. It's my dream come true. I can envision myself outside of this metro area. I don't know, make it cheaper, make it less of a, and it's hard because there's a reason I came here and got out of rural area, but part of it is expenses. It's too expensive for me to live here, and I am more broke. I think if you work 40 hours a week, minimum wage, you'd be making about 1,600. I make like half that, and that's working jobs that need no GED, no education, no high school diploma. I have 2 jobs that do that, and I have 6 jobs. I was going to accept a 7th one, the midnight or 4 p.m. or 4 a.m. shift at the grocery store, but they were like, you need to quit your other job, one of your other jobs, blah blah blah. And I didn't call back. I didn't feel people were like, it's none of their business. Like if they're gonna hire you, and I mean, you're gonna take a chance. Like you're gonna be absent, you're gonna call in sick, and I was like, I'm not going to jinx myself. And then actually some of the people that I talked to that day and some of the other people in the place that I know for my other job were like really sick. And I actually was like feeling really feverish when I left home, and I had 2 interviews in 2 days. When I make money in my business, I'm so happy, and it's more, it's not the per hour you see the patient. There's that out of like office work and all of the paperwork and the billing and the charting, that if you worked in an institution and you made plenty of money, the institution made plenty of money, you would get at least an hourly wage. And if you're a doctor and you're paying receptionists and billing people and all this to do your admin work, then I feel like you'd be able to soar and really focus on patient care and quality of care and not be like, oh, I'm going to be working this clinic or this one job till 10 at night, get home, go back to work at midnight, come home. And I thought I could do birthing with my business. And with 2 different birthing jobs, I have one, I actually have to call a client that's 3 hours away from me, and I have my naturopathic midwifery certificate, but I need to apply for the state license. And there's some other things to go with doing so much that you don't even have time for your brain to just breathe, and doing so much that you're literally like burnt out on a daily basis. People call me a liar all the time, that I work every day. I was hoping that wasn't up. What do you call it? I am like, just because you have a life and a house and can go on vacation doesn't mean the rest of us have that. And it's really sad to be called names. And it's not uncommon for me. I had my kids off sugar and soda. I started changing my diet more drastic in 2004, and my son loved, so they loved water and, um, like, they loved water and fruit. So my son liked apples, bananas, grapes, and no juice, really. And some stuff when you're homeless, I was considered homeless. I was in, like, shelter systems. You're that broke. It's hard to buy food. And when I'm in shelter systems, the first shelter was 4 weeks. It ended up 6 weeks. But after that, I had to pay. Any income that I brought in went to the shelter. So you had no gas money. You still had to pay your bills. So they'd give you, like, they take your income and, like, minus it by, like, $80. So if you made, like, $400 a month, you got whatever 80% they charge you for rent. It's like 3 something. And the rest went to utilities. So if you were able to get your utilities for $70 that month, then you got $10 to put gas in your car. If you went over $88 or whatever, then you would go to dumpsters and dig out garbage bottles. At the time, 5 cents a bottle. If you were, maybe the summer, heat, no electric heat, no electricity, or like electricity, $50, and you got $30, and you might actually be able to go get your kids a kids meal on the way to volunteering from place to place. So I've done a lot of volunteering, and now I work these hours. Like, God, this is like too many hours. But it's like, think of the time that my one job is, cut the hours in half. I'm adding those hours with another job. So basically it's the same thing, except less pay. So I get to work more hours a day to get the same pay. But it's like, well, you were volunteering a lot, so you're getting 0. And it's not like any of these people were like, oh, we like to see you thrive. Let's write you a letter of recommendation. Let's do this, because at the end I fizzled out with everything. Because I got exploited in some other things from before 2004. I got, like, exploited. And, I mean, sometimes getting a volunteer is like free labor. And some people have a heart to volunteer. Some people have it like, oh, I need to volunteer at a retirement community because I'm trying to get into some program and I want to look good on my resume or on my application. Like, there's different reasons people volunteer. Like, for me, I kind of hate myself for, like, giving and not being able to receive. And I've learned to accept things because I realized how seldom me and my family receive help that I'm like, don't shake your head now if somebody wants help. And I have the karmic wheel I'm trying to get back on. Because I don't do stuff to receive in return. But I think being raised in a toxic family where you're walking on eggshells and bending over backwards and you're scapegoated, I think that really makes you vulnerable. Like, it makes you, like, vulnerable to being kind of like doing things for everybody else before yourself. And I'm a parent, so your kids get that vibe. You're doing everything for everyone else, and they don't see anybody. Like, even though a toxic family, I could see certain holidays. One parent was sneaking around the back, the other one to go get a gift, and vice versa. Get some shirts, get some crystal. Like, I would sneak around in the Air Force Base with it. Like, even though it was toxic family, I saw somebody do even the minimum, even if it was toxic, to get them a gift for Christmas or for Mother's Day. And my kids never saw that. I can't remember. I remember one gift I got from my ex. Excuse me. Besides the children, I was married for 10 years. And I remember one gift. I complained because I graduated with a Bachelor of Science from Michigan State University. And I had to send, when my mom died, I missed a test and they failed me. And when I did the math, I said, if I don't take this test, I'll still get a C because I got like an A on everything else. And they still failed. I was like, I'll get a C. Like, he gave me a, like, I didn't realize that you could say that my mom was sick and dying. I had no clue about excuse absences, grievances. Oh, I'm actually at a funeral. One in town, one out of state. 2 funerals for my mom. My mother-in-law died at the same time, 2 weeks before my mom. It was a mess. And in the midst of trying to run around, if I didn't have my ex-husband, I don't even know. Like, I could be sitting in the bushes by myself right now, like, wallowing. Could you imagine going through that amount of death as a 21-year-old when you're supposed to be graduating from college and you fail to renew your lease in your housing, in your rooming house, because you're traveling, and, like, you're going, your mom is in the hospital, hospice, all this stuff. And you're like, oh, this is, this is something you feel like, maybe it's just Hollywood, like elders could be like, oh my God, child, your mom and your mother-in-law just died. All we got from phone calls was yelling. 2 relatives that send me cards were physically violent with me after my mom's first funeral. One of those relatives who sends us cards, these are the only people in the world that ever send us a Christmas card. The other one was very, very psychotically abusive during the time, and I didn't get an opportunity to be physically abused because this person basically wouldn't even let us in the house I grew up in for 15 years of my life. I actually ended up living there 16 years. I came back after somebody got bribed. So I ended up homeless, and by the luck of reading a newspaper, which I love to do, read one ad, we found a house for 10 grand. I had been left 10 grand, but we used some to buy food. You ever get like money and you're like, you don't have toothpaste, you don't have shampoo, you don't have food, you don't have any socks. Like, I didn't buy any of that stuff really. I just bought crafting supplies because I thought it was an investment. That I used to always make crafts for holidays and nobody said thanks or did you make this? I'm like, oh God, I know they're thinking, wow, this is a piece of crap. I want a real gift. Like, for me, if somebody made stuff, even if they didn't make it directly for me, I've been given a couple of things that were made, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a blessing. Like, this is handcrafted. Like, that's my opinion, but I think everyone else is like, I think they probably got to the point where they're probably like, I'm not even going to open this. Is straight in the garbage. Like, don't even give it to anybody. Re-gift it because they're going to be embarrassed. That's how my family is. So I might have a negative view on my crafts when I see other people's and mine and be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And mine and my daughter's, I'm getting mixed up. I think a lot of the good ones she made, but some of them I made. Earrings she would always make for me for her birthday because we don't have money for gifts. So when she had more time, I injured myself. Something metal fell on my arm at work and it hurt so bad. I went through pre-med at Michigan State. I'm going through my journey here and I'm going to list this video. I went through pre-med. Okay, so from probably 8th grade or something on, I thought of, well, I was a little confused when I was little. I always wanted to be a doctor. I always said before I even knew what the word doctor means, I have my little stethoscope, I think somewhere in the toy box here, and my blood pressure cuff for Fisher Price. I wish I still had the plastic cover for the whole set that I had. I had a thermometer and thermoscope, I think it was an otoscope. And I just, and the blood pressure cuff really like, so I had all that. The timer's going to go off here in a moment. And my phone is like acting up. And I really liked animals. I was isolated. I wasn't allowed to have friends. My family didn't like me. They told me how much a mistake I was. There's a lot of beatings. I didn't value myself. I had been sexually assaulted on numerous occasions by multiple people. So I had this, like, neighbors that had dogs and stuff. And I liked this one family. It was just one family. And I was, like, trying to hang out at their house all the time, especially with their dog that was always in a pen. So I couldn't really actually play with the dogs. And one was a beagle. I was like, oh my god, this is Snoopy. It's like a girl dog, and they had two, not bloodhounds. What are the other hounds? Me and my son wanted this big old dogs with the big ears. What are those called? The basset hounds. Oh my god, I used to, and they were always like, oh, like, what's wrong with their eyes? Like, oh. But a while later, so I was like, don't get a dog like that. They got too much stag, and they get yeast, and they get blind, and all this. And they had a matching house as the neighbor's house. Was this weird shaped lake house with a roof like this, and the tar people, whatever it's called, the shingle things. They had the same house, the same shape, and it was two-sided. It was super long, and you know that dog is low and long, and I don't know if they connected in the middle, but it was like, I don't know. I can just visualize it, because after school I'd go down there when I was allowed to leave the yard, which my parents were pretty strict. I could go to organized events, so I did what I could to get out of the house, and everybody said, you're always so happy, you have braces, you're always smiling, no matter what. And now I smile. Like, I realize from what I believe, when you're away from toxic people that you're trapped inside a household with and being beaten every night, being dragged to your bed in the middle of the morning and beaten, and then had to get up and go to school. And when you're away from those fools, you're really happy. Like, you're, like, not a happy person. Like, wow, you went through so much crap. Why are you so happy? Because I'm not in the room with that fool punching me in the jaw. That's why. Like, I don't know if that's why, but I think of how many times people said, smiling, I'm happy, oh, it's hard to believe, you always look, like, put together, you always look like not right now, like, pajamas. I just threw this little thing over. And so I couldn't decide if I wanted to do veterinary school or medical school. So I decided I was going to go to Michigan State. My brother had gone for like part of a year, 1.5 years, I can't remember. He got an accident, stopped going. I don't know what happened, really. I was like, was I in 5th and 6th grade? No, I was like in after 6th grade. And what happened with him was that he didn't go, but he still lived in town in Lansing, East Lansing, Michigan. And so I was like, oh, I really looked up to my brother, even though he didn't like me. So I went, and I knew they had a veterinary school. And I swear to you guys, same thing happened to my kids. I had not 1 ounce of support in college prep or making decisions about my future. And I had one, let's say one. Mom took me to college night, and I think it was 9th grade, and I got back then all the paper application booklets for all the schools. I applied. I sent stuff to Harvard and all the schools. I had barely done well on the ACT. I didn't realize the cutoff was so, like, I was, like, at the low end. I took the test without reading the questions, and I got 1 point higher. The next year, I was, like, really, like, seriously, I did not read the questions. Someone gave us test-taking strategies, and I utilized them. Because my dad became very aggressive that second time I took it, and I left, and I was staying with a friend for 3 days, and they reported me as a runaway, even though I got permission. This is all in the midst of still wanting to be a doctor, wanting to give my life I was in medical explorers in 12th grade. I don't think I went in 11th grade because it was the next time over, and I was 17 when I graduated, so I don't think I had my license. I might have been able to go in junior year, but it was at least a year. And I went to Michigan State. I got to get my kids' feet out of the oven. And I went and I studied pre-med. I was invited to do the Charles Scheuer Nutrient Laboratory before that Lyman Briggs program. So I had really good grades. Like, I had really bad in geometry. There was like a couple of classes I totally like could not handle. I wonder, because I'm not dyslexic, I'm Latino, I swap things. Geometry was hard when you have like shapes and you gotta like, it's gotta be like it's not linear, but it's gotta be like, you have to have like some linear thinking to keep it together. Like, someone says, what word is in front of this word A? Like, what's in front, this side or this side? Like, that's how my mind like, it makes, things like spin when I think of things like words. So I'd like to think in pictures, and then front, behind. I know, of course I know front and behind. Of course I know left, right. But I learned at a young age as a left-hander that if you do it left-handed, you're going to do it opposite to everyone else, and you're going to screw up, and you're embarrassing yourself. So you stop and say, and then I would double take. No, I'm going to use my right hand. No, I'm going to use my right hand. I need to open this door. No, I'm going to use a can opener. So every single thing, people think I'm like, they thought I was handicapped and mentally ill, and even now, but it's like, I'm always like, wait, I got to do it like this. And so if you tell me take 3 steps forward, my mind got so used to thinking that I was backwards that my mind wants to say 3 steps back. So I had to pause. Like, why can you hear me? Do you understand what I'm talking about? It takes deeper. Like, normally you would just walk 3 steps forward. Obviously, I know what that means. I know the English language. So I went through that school. I dropped the Lyman Briggs because it was too much. I joined ROTC, and the Charles Scheuer Nutrient Laboratory had tutoring for people of color. It was open to anybody, but historically, that the people of color who started did not graduate, and the white students, they started, and a large portion of them graduated. So I went there and did a lot of freaking extra classes. Like, you had extra classes, extra tutoring sessions, and on top of that, ROTC, I think twice a week. So I was missing meals. It sucked. It was like hell on earth, and I wasn't doing that well in classes. And I was studying all the time, but I didn't know how to actually study, so it was more like cramming. When someone else was studying or doing this thing, I would follow their lead, but it took me, like, that's probably the only reason I even passed anything. So I had no clue. Sometimes, like, my tutor, she's a doctor, and I'm a doctor, she's a resident, though, she's like, I don't even know how you passed and did so well in all those classes, because you, like, totally didn't know how to study. Like, she told me that recently. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing. She's like, you must be, like, super smart, because everybody else is, like, studying their butts off, and you're just, like, sitting in class, like, going home, going to church all the time, taking care of kids, driving all over creation. So I went through undergrad as pre-med, and then I also joined a third thing. I dropped ROTC and joined a residential initiative on the study of the environment. I got that lady hated me, so I think she kicked me out, like, the last class I needed. I was going to transfer from Portland State back, because that's the class I failed my mom. And to make a long story short, I did prereqs again, all the chemistry, organic, and biology, physics at Portland State University. I had started them at Michigan State, but that was before I had kids, so they made me restart them. And then I went from there and applied to Naturopath Medical School as a dual degree, Chinese medicine, or Oriental medicine master's, and naturopathic medicine, but I wanted to do childbirthing, so I had to cut Oriental medicine because, and that's what it's called, it's O for Oriental medicine, and I had to cut that because I needed to take care of my kids. Like, you looked at the schedule, double classes, double clinic shifts, and those students were the happiest. I probably should have kept that and done midwifery elsewhere. But I did that. I passed my board exams. I took a third board exam, and I am absolutely broke and between $250,000 and $500,000 in debt. So even if I wanted to buy, like, a trailer house on a plot of land, my debt to income ratio is so bad that I can't do it. And I'm raising kids alone, not a dime of child support, and no help from anybody. Nobody can understand. They think I'm lying. My housing is subsidized. They think I'm getting help from relatives. I'm like, dude, I have nobody. Like, they think you're lying, and it's it's like they threaten you and tell you that you're going to be in trouble, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to talk to you anymore because it's my word against yours. And you guys have already read reports about me that are total false, and you know they are. It's like someone is sitting here taking time. I got to go. Peace.